Hello and good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? I am just waiting for a few moments to let everyone get into the stream. If you can hear me okay, let me know. Just say something in the comments, write something in the comments, or yeah, just let me know whereabouts you're from as well. And yeah, just a little bit about yourself. I'd love to see who's here in this session. I did change the time instead of doing it a bit later because I have some time at the moment in the mornings for the next few weeks. So I thought it'd be good to perhaps stream a few times. I mean, I don't know if I'll do it more than I usually, which is usually two times a week. But I do have a bit more time. So let me know how you're going. And I'm just trying to clean up the comments at the moment. I do get some spammers and things like that um, coming through every now and then. So I'm just trying to remove some of these comments and stuff like that in the chats. But anyway, today I am going to be doing a scene that was actually requested by one of my viewers and patrons here on the channel, V. And she has been watching along for quite some time now. I think, well, it's not a super long time, but definitely for at least a few months. and and it's a Christmas scene, and the reference photo I've actually uploaded. So for those of you who are on YouTube, have a look at the reference. It's actually in the link. I've also linked on Facebook as well. Um, so I have done a market scene before, and this is what I did in the last one, which was quite a few months ago, actually. And this was a kind of daytime market scene. In fact, I did two. That was the one, a kind of quick one that I did before, and this one that I did live. They ended up looking quite similar, except that I put some more detailing into the fruits and things like that. The reference that we're doing today is a kind of night market scene, and it's certainly quite different from what we normally are doing. And I did have a night market scene in the last in the last live actually. So I think this will be an interesting yeah, this will be an interesting scene to do. I haven't done it before. This is the first time I've attempted this, so um, let's give it a go. I think we will be good. And there's Valerie's. I think Valerie wrote something in the comments a while back. She can't make it, but a fantastic subject, and well done to V for suggesting glorious colors. And the stream is viewable afterwards if you end up watching it after as well. But do let me know if you're here in the comments, especially on Facebook. There's been some kind of bit of a buggy situation where I've not. Sometimes when I get a bit of this spam related stuff that come through the comments then will not show through afterwards. So if you're on Facebook, yeah, drop me a message. Let me know in the chats if you can hear okay. We've also got we've got Iwa. Sorry if I've not pronounced your name correctly. Ewa Kuntop from Poland, and it is it's past 12 o'clock for you. Alrighty, so it's pretty late. At least it's a little bit earlier than the time that I usually stream over in Australia. It tends to be on the obviously the opposite side of the world, so yeah, sometimes it can be tricky to get everyone at the right time, but I'm trying to do a few more streams at different times, just when I'm sketching and yeah, getting started, I suppose, and hopefully we get different viewers, and hopefully it might help out for those of you who I'm not able to reach at sometimes. So fantastic. It looks like Facebook's good. Kate's here. Kate Parbury from Geelong. We've got Diane Cowan, first time here. Nice to meet you, Diane. Thank you for joining. And we've also got Tessa McCoud. No, sorry, Tessa McMahon and Frank McCoud. Thank you so much, guys, for letting me know that everything is all good. And look, if you have any questions, and I run these pretty similar each time. If you have any questions, let me know during the stream. You can send me a comment. I don't look at them every single second because I'll be painting and drawing and sort of talking. But do let me know if you have questions, any comments, just any thoughts that you have during the session. And if you have any suggestions for next time, I'd love to hear them as well, just to know how I can improve them, make them a bit more easier to understand, or perhaps any sort of suggestions I'm happy to take. So without any further ado, we may go ahead and get started. We've also got Shanolan. Good evening, Shanolan. Thank you for joining. And it's probably a better time for you, isn't it, Shanolan? It's like, must be, yeah, it must be like 7 or 8 p.m. for you. So good to have everyone kind of awake. Paint with Myrtle is here. Awesome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, Myrtle. I haven't seen you for a little bit, but it's nice to catch you. Nice to catch you again. How have you been? You've got Jody also, Jody McPherson. And Jody says, want to say how kind of you to share your talent so freely with the world. I think I'm really lucky to be able to share what I can, and you know, I sort of yeah, just being able to you know, share those tips. I suppose when I started, I kind of didn't know where to begin, and you often, I think, as beginners, it's a shame when people just pick up that brush, they try a few times, and then they just give up, and then they don't try again for however long. So if you know, if I can help some of you to yeah, I guess get past that tricky stage in the beginning where everything that you paint just kind of, you know, you're kind of frustrated and you're thinking, what, you know, sometimes you get a painting that looks good, sometimes you don't, and you're just wondering, you know, what is it? What do I need to do? Is there a process I can follow? And that's why I kind of want to share that process with you guys as well. I also do this as like a part-time sort of thing, which is great. And yeah, I think I'm just really lucky to be able to do something that I love doing and be able to share that, and yeah, and even do it as a part-time job. So yeah, it's more of a recent thing. Initially, I just started doing all these streams because yeah, I just wanted to get out there. I'm normally quite an introverted person, and being on camera was something that was quite intimidating for me. I don't think I was very good at it the first few times around. I was stressing a lot. So there's lots of advantages on every end. But thank you everyone for joining. 4:30 p.m. for Schnellen. So I'll continue on, and let's start with the drawing. I'm also going to quickly talk about the reference. And guys, if you look in the discussion session section, or if you check in the yeah, basically the chats, I've made a link there so you can have a look at the reference photo. So if you can please bring that up basically on the side, so you have the reference photo as well as the video playing. I think that will be a lot easier for you, so then you can sort of see what I'm talking about, because the reference picture on the side of the screen at the moment is kind of difficult to see. It's a pretty small sort of image in the corner. But I want to discuss the image just really quickly. One of the things I noticed now, V sent me through this picture and I saved it. I didn't have a closer look at it until actually yesterday, and I've realized some of the buildings aren't real here. So they've got these. It looks. I think this is somewhere in Germany or somewhere in Austria, perhaps. If you guys know, do let me know whereabouts this is, because it does have some German sounding words in there. Flammkuchen. That sounds something like I don't know. I'm not even going to guess, to be honest. But anyway, the buildings have these kind of facades on them that they look like they've kind of just decorated to make for the moment. So what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to MacGyver a bit of this stuff. Okay, we're gonna have to make up some details on these buildings. I think there's enough in there for me to guess. Especially, it's more this one on the right hand side. If you look at that building on the right, you can see it's kind of it's two-dimensional. So I had a good laugh at it before. I didn't realize until I got a closer look. But I think this will be kind of fun to do. The main thing I liked about this as well was the figures. There's a lot of opportunities here to practice drawing figures, and I know that's something everyone wanted to do, wanted to give a try. Um, so remember, like this is again, we're not trying to go for a masterpiece here. We're trying to just get an understanding of how to approach a scene like this, how to draw and paint figures accurately, how to draw and paint buildings, more importantly, how to compose a scene. The mental process of turning a photograph or something that you see in real life into a painting. What are the steps you need to get from point A to point B? So I do share a lot of my thoughts and while I'm painting as well and drawing, so that you know kind of what I'm thinking, and sometimes those insights may be useful for you. So, for example, when I'm deciding maybe to shift the building around, I'll explain why I'm doing that, or perhaps I might take objects out or change things around, and so that you understand. Sometimes when you look at a painting, you think, "Wow, that looks really good," but you don't really understand why it looks that way or what the artist has done behind the scenes. So I think that will help you to get a better understanding of the process. So um, now I've got three pens here. Normally I use a number of pens that are pigment liners. Now, if you've only got one pen, just use, if you've got a point 0.5 pen, which is basically a point 0.5 liner, that's fine. Just use it for the whole thing. I mean, for that one, I've only used, I think, pretty much one liner. Okay, I do have a box of these other liners as well. I don't know if I'll actually use these. These are pigment liners, and I've used them for the past few sessions. They just contain a whole different array of nibs that you can use. The main thing though is just to have a one liner. You should be fine. I have three here because they come in different nib sizes. One thing that you'll find when you're using different nibs, the nibs that are larger are going to create thicker lines, and thicker lines bring objects forwards more. So if when you're creating that sense of depth, when you're trying to push objects back, that's something really to keep in mind. So if you've got buildings out the back, you don't want to go in with a really thick marker and start drawing in that building with that thick marker, because that's then going to stick out like a sore thumb, and the viewer's eye is going to be drawn to that section there. Whereas you want it to be kind of balanced so that it moves around the scene. Sometimes you organize things specifically to draw attention. Like for example, here there's a bit of but these bananas are quite light. The background is very dark, so that's going to draw attention. Bit of contrast there. You're also going to get a bit of contrast here between the buildings and the light section here, the shadows here. So constantly, I'm thinking about where to place objects, how to darken, create contrast in areas in order to shift attention, so that there's always movement, eye movement around. So that's something I do, especially with these sort of scenes like I've got. So anyhow, I'm going to switch over to this other sketchbook. There's not going to be anything on this sketchbook. I just wanted to have something up on the screen to have you guys look at, something a bit better than a blank sheet of paper. Lucia's here, so hey, going Lucia. Good to see you again. I know you in the last live, and thank you for joining. So I think we are all good, guys. So let's get cracking. So I'm assuming you got your reference photo up on the side of the screen, or if you got it printed out, that kind of thing, that's fine. I am going to go start off with the 0.5 liner. Okay, let me just move some of these windows and things out the way so that I can see the chats when they come through. And for those of you who are new here, just a really quick introduction. I'm Darren, and I'm a watercolor artist over in Melbourne, Victoria. So I run these sessions each week, and basically just go through my process. So we will get started now. Reference photo. Let's have a look what we got here now. What I want to do is just put in a basic indication of the background. Okay, mainly in terms of the background, we want to just make sure we got kind of like a basic line of where the buildings finish. Now, it's not too apparent. I mean, some of these buildings are slightly more forwards, and in fact, this one on the right-hand side that building on the right hand side seems to kind of come in actually more like around here. So I'm going to just estimate. So if we look at this building right in the back, that one in the back left corner, if you can see it just closest to the edge, we'll notice that it finishes about 1/3 of the way. Finishes about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom of the page. So this is the base. This is the base of the building. So I'm going to put a little line here, just a little indication. I do like to turn the pen on the side as well, which can help to get in a line that's not as harsh, okay? And then we know it kind of comes around here, and then the buildings start to become, get a little bit closer, okay? So I'm just trying to indicate that over on this side, okay? Now, I will just put in a little mark as well. One of the interesting things that I do is instead of going in with the pencil, I'll go on with the pen first and just do these little kind of guiding lines and points to help me gauge where everything is, because it can be quite difficult to go in straight away, especially when you've got a scene that's as complex as this, and to get in all the details straight away. So those of you who want to go through with the pencil, do that as well. So you can go in with the pencil and sketch basically some detail and then go over it with the pen. And then if you've got an eraser, just erase that pencil and no one will know the difference. Okay. I do it like this because I just want to challenge myself. I'm also lazy too. I can be very lazy in terms of trying to erase things, and I just don't want to spend all my time doing that. So let's go ahead. Now you notice I've divided this scene roughly around the halfway point. You'll notice that this building that says Flammkuchen in the front, Cushion, I can't pronounce that, in the middle here. That building, the edge of that building is roughly about halfway through the page. Okay, it's actually like a little bit more to the right of half. So if you want to be more specific, so not right to the right of half, I might actually what is it? Draw the side of that building in here. In fact, there's actually an edge to it like that, which kind of comes out more like this actually. So you can put that in, the side of that building. Okay, a little bit of detail there. I sort of scribbling in some areas of the building while I'm in here. Okay, but the main thing is that you just want to get in a nice little indication of it. Now you'll notice that the rooftop of this building also, it goes up pretty high. It sort of goes up and it exits out the scene. Um, we'll be faithful to the reference, but that annoys me a little bit. I don't like buildings that sort of just stop like that, but uh, let's just go with it. I think we can work with that and get something out of it. Okay, so that's kind of like the top. It's just a triangle. Okay, you got a triangle, and then you've got this section of this building here, which goes off. This funny one that I was laughing at before, that basically has a kind of facade put onto the side of it. Okay, so I'm gonna put that one in kind of like this, a little bit more of a simple sort of look. Okay, and what we'll do is draw a line just coming down the page. So we have, if you look, we've got like 3 buildings in. We've got this building on the right, and then we've got this one here. Okay, and then we've got this one here that's kind of front facing. So we've got a fair few bits of detail in kind of the majority of that background area. And I'm trying not to get too caught into the details with all this as well, because again, the aim here is just to get in a quick little background area, so then we can put in the figures and that kind of thing afterwards as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go and start putting in these 3 little building areas in the background. So firstly, I want to just mark off the area where they kind of finish. I'd say about here, maybe here, to the edge of that building, like that. So kind of like this. And then we want to divide them into three. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So if we just go 1, 2, 3, we have the three um, silhouettes of those buildings in the background. And we notice this one, because we've already drawn in this building here, we can use that as a kind of guideline to where to finish off the roof. So you see this kind of edge there, it finishes off the edge of the side of that building. So I can just draw a line kind of interconnecting with that. This one, I'll just go across the bottom like this. This one here has a kind of um, top bit that kind of goes up like that. Okay, so there we have it. We have the basic silhouette of these buildings here in the background. In fact, this one I kind of feel like I should make it a little bit more um, make it a little bit more interesting. This is a mistake actually. What I should have done was maybe gone up with a triangle up here like that, and then just joined it onto the edge of that building there. Look, I'll show you what I mean. This is what I would have done if I could do it again. I would have just gone up, kind of like a triangle shape like this. Okay, because this is more just a 3D thing. Because normally, this building is going to be looking 3D, but because we've got a cardboard cutout or something in front of it, it's kind of hard to see. So something like that I wanted to do, kind of the edge or the side of the building, kind of pointing over to the left. So I think we can still get away with it. Just put something like that in there, like that. Um, I'm just trying to figure out what we can do. Maybe put that edge of it there, and then let me just. I can try to get in the side. This is kind of like a side of a building. Okay. And whenever you make a mistake, don't worry. Just the thing to do is just restate everything, go over the top of what you're drawing, and take your time. Because I make tons of mistakes in all of my drawings and paintings. I'm figuring this out as I go as well. In terms of the composition, have a little bit of a think beforehand. Sometimes it's good to just let it guide you. Let that the scene and the painting just guide you through it. And sometimes you end up in a position that you don't really anticipate, and and then you figure out a technique or something. You've done something, and then you actually like it. So something to keep in mind. Planning is crucial. To have a general sort of plan before you start, but at the same time, if you plan too much, it doesn't allow for those special moments where you might want to change your mind. And changing your mind, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. It's like when you order some food and then you think, okay, I can't eat that, or I don't really like that, and then you call over the waiter and ask if it's possible to change. It's those kind of things. It's um, sometimes you learn along the way, and you figure out that, hey, the approach that you initially went with, it's not really what you want, and so you change it. There's no problem with that. Okay. So here is another window. I'm just drawing. Sometimes when I'm in this area as well, where I'm drawing, I'll just let it take me where I want it to, where it wants to go. So, here's a kind of balcony or something like that here, and some, I don't know, that looks like some flowers or that kind of thing. So I'm just really indicating some bits and pieces coming off the balcony. They're just kind of circular shapes because I don't want to really draw too much in there. And to just simplify the balcony, we'll just get some verticals running in like that. There's actually some curly sort of stuff going on, some curled iron bars and stuff, but I don't want to draw those in. Okay. And it's a little bit of detail that I've got onto the side of the building. And let's have a look at this building here. Now, you're not actually going to be able to see the base of that building. You're only be able to see the base perhaps of this building here in the background there. Okay, these three here, kind of around there. There's even figures and some more. I don't know what this is. It looks like really not sure what that is. It's some kind of building or wall or something here in the background, so we can um, why not? Let's just add a little bit of something there. I don't know what that is, but it's looks like a wall something put in here on the side. Um, Another thing that I like is these lights. Yeah, these lights, they're quite interesting, but I'm thinking how in the world am I going to do them and keep them pretty not too obvious. I think what I'll do is just draw them in. Just draw them in a very basic sort of way, and then we'll leave a bit of light in there. So it creates kind of a bit of a contrast with the sky. Okay, these little lights. So I'm just putting them in. They're kind of just this. So take your time, just draw the kind of little circles running across, and I think they actually connect on. Yeah, they actually connect onto this little. Oops, try to make them go kind of like a what do you call it? A downward sort of U shape, like that. Because you need to keep in mind how things appear. That. So I'm just going to draw in a few like this. Now this is more kind of to indicate what's going on. I'm not really fussed with all the detail of it, but it's just to place it in there. Now I want to put in another one. Let's put in another row of them coming across here. So keep these very, very light and take your time. Just draw in those little circles. No, I'm certainly not. You want to kind of make it in this sort of shape, sort of slightly U-shaped. The way things fall in the center because they're kind of heavier, and then there's more support kind of on the edges here because of the building kind of holding it up or whatever. So these ones are kind of not. Would have liked them to be a bit more. Really better would be to just draw the little dots. That would be a good trick. Draw a little dot and then like kind of continue onwards. Okay, but that's okay. We can. You notice whenever I make a mistake, I just go with it. And there used to be a time when I started out where I'd just scrunch up that bit of paper and forget about it. But that's one of the worst things you can do because I've learned so much from the paintings that didn't work out. Um, so there we go. We got a few lights, and I think these will be nice because they imply the sense of like movement across the scene. And not only that, it also helps to create a bit of contrast with the sky. Okay, so I'm just trying to put in a few, maybe another line of them going behind, something like that. Just a smaller sort of line of them behind. So we've got a few of them. You let me know how you're going if you're needing a bit more help. Just check the chats. Just bring it up. Oh, V's here. How you doing, V? Good to see you. So V's from YouTube, and she was the one who suggested this one. So thank you so much for coming along. And did you just get in, V, or have you been watching since the start? Just having a look if there's any more chats. Lily Fuentes, how you doing, Lily? Good to see you. For those of you who are watching on my other page, Facebook page, the Darren Yeo art page, the original event is actually on the Watercolor Mentor page, but I just reposted it to my other page. So sometimes you'll find that there's not anyone chatting in the chats there, and that's because Facebook just doesn't combine them for whatever reason. It just separates them out, which is so annoying because I've got to have all these windows up because initially I didn't see people were writing messages and I'd be missing out all the messages in the other ones. So apologies if I do get to those chats a little bit later, but I will make sure I get to them. Mary, good girl, Mary, good girl. Says a great subject. I wish I was good enough to try it. Hey, you you know, sometimes you got to just try it out, and you never know, you will get there in the end. It's just um, it's the same process. Everything that I do in when I'm drawing buildings or that kind of thing, I follow the same process, even if it's a simple one or not. So um, you know, I will do more simpler ones. I've got a bit more time in the next few weeks to stream. So if you guys have some simple subjects that you want me to tackle, um, let me know. You can message me. You can message me personally, or you can just put them in the chats. I do have a few different ideas and um, a few suggestions from you guys. So Tracy also says, what did Tracy say? She says, you have just happened upon this at the right time. Looking forward to this, Darren. The best thing about these videos is the talk through explanation and your sketch. And your sketch. Cool. Thank you, Tracy. And I think that's something that I do differently. I probably talk a lot more than a lot of other art teachers out there in terms of going through the process. And I hope that is makes it a little bit easier for you, because I know I struggled initially at the start, kind of understanding what people were doing. Um, you know, and I also initially I'd forget to mention things like the pens I'm using, how I'm doing things as well. So that's why I sort of elaborate more. Kate Parbury says so complex. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. But you know, if you do if you you know, do it with the rest of us at the same time, you might end up with something that you like at the end, and it's practice. And just remember, the guidelines that I'm drawing at the start, they're super important. If you can get those initial guidelines accurately, everything else will fall into place. So remember when I was talking about the base of those buildings, where I'm dividing, when I'm trying to find, okay, the edge of this building, where does that start? Roughly in the center of the page, and it finishes roughly here. So looking at where the shapes start and where the shapes finish. Don't even look at them as buildings, just look at them as shapes. If you can get those essential guidelines in fine at the start, everything else will fall into place. Thank you, Sarita, for joining, and I'm glad you like the style of my work as well. It's something that I've developed a little bit over time. For those of you who are new here, yeah, please let me know whereabouts you're watching from, and maybe some things that you'd like to learn in this session as well. V says just finished cooking and I'm sketching now to try to catch up. Awesome. And good to hear that you're up and about now. Not been so well over the last few weeks, so I'm happy to hear you getting up and about. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to continue on, everyone. I just wanted to acknowledge a few of those chats, and also just check if you guys got questions. There's also Laurie Ryan from Maryland. Good to see you, Laurie. Good to see you again. And yeah, as usual, just yeah, questions and things like that. Any kind of questions. Nothing that there's no such thing as a stupid question. So just pop it in. Just pop it in there if you're not sure. Okay, be anything about watercolors. All right, let's go ahead and get started on this one again. And here's the fun part. We're gonna start drawing in figures. Okay, so it kind of helps to have the scene enlarged a fair bit, so you can sort of see uh, a little bit of detail in the figures. Now, the most important thing that I tell people is to make sure, especially in a scene like this, where it's a flat scene, okay, there's no undulations in the land, we're not going up a hill, we're not going down a hill. You'll notice, look at the heads of the figures. Their heads are all lined up roughly around the same place on the scene, okay? The base of the buildings are here, but basically the heads kind of start. I mean, there's, you know, I'll just quickly draw a few in. One here, maybe. You know, there's maybe one here, one here. There's one here. Some of them are a little bit taller, larger than others as well. Okay, because you might get figures that are a little bit taller and things like that. But roughly, they're going to be around the same height. Um, come to look at this scene, it kind of actually looks like perhaps the left-hand side may be undulating downwards a little bit. So these figures appear a little bit shorter than these ones up here. Okay, so, but roughly speaking, if you have them around the same height, like this, the head's all around this same area, like here, you're going to be completely fine. Okay, there is one like pretty large figure here, and let's have a go and draw him in. He's kind of there's like a lady here in the front. Just get in a bit of her head, okay? Something like she's wearing some kind of beanie there, okay? And put in a bit of the chin like that popping out, a bit of the jacket, okay? Look at and also look at the general shape of her clothes. So they kind of like come down and they're like here. That's like the bottom of the jacket, okay? And there's a kind of a hood here, but the arm is important because that comes out through here, there, and then comes out in front like this, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. There's a hand sticking out like that, and I think she's eating something. She's got another arm kind of coming out. It's just like a plate or something she's holding here at the front. And there's a handbag kind of going behind and going underneath this arm like this. So you often have to do overlapping shapes, okay? And certainly with this, there are overlapping shapes with the arms. Um, with the plate, with the beanie. What else is there? There's this bag as well here. This is something I do as well. This is called hatching, where you just draw lines in a few little directions like that to imply shade. Okay, so we've got to know all these overlapping shapes in there like that, and then we need to put her legs in. So we know we've got one leg kind of coming out here. Um, it actually, let me just have a look at this scene. One of the things as well is making sure that the body is in proportion. So you don't want to draw like little legs in here. You want to make them kind of a bit more kind of in proportional body. They're around the same. If you ever look at a body, length of a body, it's around the same. The legs are probably a little bit longer. Okay, let's put in a shoe or something like this here, like that. Okay, it's a really big shoe. And then we get in another one here behind there, and again, it's kind of like facing that way. Okay, but there we go. We've got a figure a figure in here. Okay, let's have a look. What else can we add in? The fella here on that right hand side. I'm going to start kind of with his nose a bit first, and just forehead there, and the chin kind of like this. Just a quick thing, bit of detail, ear, and we can put in some hair, that, okay. Bit of his shirt, he's kind of wearing this large um, blazer. He's got his hand out here, looks like he's eating something, holding something there. A lot of overlapping shapes, and I've drawn the figure in the front first because it's a lot easier to cut around. Okay, so then you draw. I always draw things in the front first, and then everything in the back first. That will make it so much easier for you guys. Um, Kind of this coat. Where does it finish? Around the bottom of that building, like that. Um, I probably should have drawn this figure a little bit bigger, but we can get away with it. Let's have a look. The legs. One of the legs kind of come down. The legs appear shorter because the coat's need the coat. And there, leg there, and of course a leg here, foot kind of facing forwards. Okay, so there we go. We got a couple of little figures here. Um, some buttons on his coat. That bring that down. And one of the things you have to keep in mind as well is that you don't need all that much detail in there to identify that there is some kind of figure here. Okay. I'm going to just hatch away at his coat a little to create some darkness in there, something like this. Okay, Good. So we got a couple of these figures in here, and really, it's just about repeating the whole process. In fact, over here, there's an interesting sort of situation going on. There's a fella here, large kind of coat, and he is next to the where is it? It's kind of like this, like a crate here, having a drink. Okay, this is going to be tricky to draw. I like this, just a square. Just try to draw in a square like that. Um, Kind of has a bit of this edge of it there as well on the top. Doing a 3D, get a bit of 3D in there, and then we've also got this lady who's right in front. I'm going to put her head roughly here. She is holding onto a phone. She's got that phone right in front of her. And I'm going to put in a few like fingers like that. Just some really quick little hands in there. Okay. And she is holding on. She's got like a beanie on as well. That's her head here. A bit of hair running down the sides. And then a beanie over the top of her head like that. Okay. She's taking a photograph of the photographer, it looks like. But before I do, I just want to draw the bottom of her little coat in. She's got a bag here as well. Okay, she's holding onto a bag with dimensionality to it too, like that. Um, Arms come in and then they sort of like go behind, like to her shoulders, like this. There we go. A bit of something. And then the coat is kind of open down the center like this. Yeah, comes down there. I used to always draw with these pens, and I've missed drawing with them because they have such a stark sort of look to them. The other pens that I use, the pigment liners, they appear a bit more sketchy, and the lines are certainly not as dark, and they're a little bit more subdued, so they work well too. You notice you'll find different pens just create different looks, different effects in there. So certainly experiment around and try to find something that works for you. I've really missed using these ones, so it's good that I kind of got back into using them again. Uh, there's a leg. Let's put a leg there, and then we'll put another leg here. She's kind of walking perhaps forwards. I'll make her come forwards a little bit further as well. Leg kind of coming through here. I can't really see her shoe, but I'll indicate that it's walking, going this way. That okay. The direction of these little feet, yeah, kind of shows where the person's walking. So you kind of I do these little triangles and make them point in the direction that they're walking, and that allows you to indicate that. There's a person's head here. Let's go ahead. Let's put in that head of that person, and a chin here, kind of the side of that person's head. And this is like a beanie. Looks like he's wearing just some kind of beanie like that. Okay. Round off that chin a little bit. And again, here's he's wearing some kind of jacket and lining up to get a drink or something like that here. And that lines up with this box. So you're kind of having to plan in ways where things are ending up. Shoe kind of oops, looks like he's tiptoeing to have a look in here. And so that's what I say, things in the front, you always draw the things in the front first, and this allows you to then do this stuff here, or the things in the back. I mean, here we've got 3 rows. I've drawn in the top row, got 1, 2, 3, and here is kind of like a opening where we've got yeah, basically an opening where they're buying drinks and things like that here. So, you know, I always like to draw in a little bit more detail, spend a bit more time in these forward sections as well. Okay, so that looks like a kind of menu or something here. Just putting in some rubbish writing. There's not really any writing in there, just a quick thing. For some reason, I don't really include too much writing in my in my paintings in terms of like the writings on the buildings and stuff like that. I like to keep the location um, a little bit more generic. If that makes sense. Uh, I mean, unless it's like a major landmark that everyone can recognize straight up. Normally, generally speaking, I keep it pretty basic. Um, hmm, this is interesting. So the perspective I've drawn in is actually not exactly as per the reference photo, but it's okay. It's still close enough to what is actually going on. We do want to get the edge of this building coming forwards a bit more, so I'm gonna just experiment. Where can we put it? Perhaps here, the edge of that building there. Yeah. And then a little bit more detail like that there. I will go around these figures a little bit. One of the things I like to do is, again, using that thicker liner, bring out the details of these figures to just make them come forwards more. So that's what I mean when I'm using thicker, like a thicker liner. You notice that these details come out like this, legs, and brings it forwards a little bit. Okay, good little trick. A good little trick to do. I'm just going over the top of those. Okay, so we've got a couple of figures here. We've got more or less that building. That building's pretty much sorted. I do swap between pens during the drawing as well. You notice I use like thinner ones, thicker ones, that kind of thing. Okay, so this is an interesting one. I'm gonna have to get in the edge of this building a bit more darker, like that. But of course, let's put in this fella kind of hunched over a little bit, kind of looking over this way, and he's got like a kind of, there's like a hood here behind his head. Okay, bit of this arm which comes down just beyond the just on top of that crate, slightly on top of that crate. Okay? And we can draw in a couple of indications here. That could be like a bottle or something here. Like bits and pieces, food, all that kind of stuff in front of him, like that. Um, there we got the back, and he's got a little bag that's kind of strapped onto him from behind as well. So there we go, and then we'll have the his feet. There's the bottom of it, the bottom of his coat, and then his legs just kind of popping out the bottom here like that. Just a quick little indication. I do think that perhaps I need to go darker with him as well. Not really standing out enough, much as I'd like to anyway. And again, couple of couple of shoes, and notice I'm pointing the shoes in that right direction. Yeah, facing the crate, which is going to indicate he's kind of like looking in that direction there. Give him a bit of hair, just a little indication like that. I mean, he's not wearing anything on top of his head, something like that. Okay, so there we go. We've got a guy just kind of, you know, enjoying his alone time there, and then we got another person here. Um, it's really just repeating this process by getting in figures, and I'll show you now, like in this section, how to get in some really quick figures. I think this should help speed up the process, but I'll have a look and see if there's any questions. Jillian's asking, is it a waterproof pen? Yeah, it's a waterproof pen. It's a Uniball eye pen, and you can get these for a couple of dollars at at your office supply shops. It's not even, they don't even sell them in art supply shops. They're just a normal office supply shop. And it's remember to get the stuff that has a liquid ink in it, not the ballpoint pens that have that kind of sticky ink. That doesn't work. Sarita says, thank you for sharing a style. Love it. Thank you, Sarita, for joining. Have a look. If there's any more comments. I think I might be looking at chat window. Oops. Let me just have a quick look. I think everything is going okay. And if you guys are liking the video, if you could do me a favor and like it, click the like button as well. That helps get it sent out to more people, and also yeah, just share it around if you know anyone that might be interested, or if you're part of any painting or art groups, watercolor groups. Would appreciate if you shared it, and so other people can also benefit from this as well. Um, Let me just see. I think oh, Shanolan says have to go, but we'll try to be back before you are done. No worries, Shanolan. This is recorded. This session is recorded, but it's good fun to have you guys along here actually to draw and paint along with me. But yeah, how are you all doing? Is everything making sense so far? And what are you finding to be challenging at the moment, or what are you enjoying at the moment, and what are you enjoying and what are you finding challenging at the moment about this scene? And if you're kind of up to this point, you'll find as well, the more you progress through, the easier it kind of gets, because then the scene just kind of solidifies in your mind, and it's just about filling in the missing bits and pieces. Um, righto, righto. Quick look to see if there are any more chats. I think we're pretty good, guys. I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna continue along, everyone. Um, but would love to hear from you and just see how you are all doing. Um, and to give you some encouragement as well, guys. Continue on, and not everything's gonna turn out the way you want it to, but take it as a learning experience. Okay. The faces. So the V saying having trouble with the girl facing me. So this one here. Okay. Yeah. It's a little bit tricky drawing figures, especially this small. V saying just not getting the right shapes and sizes, I suppose. Okay. One of the things I can recommend to you, V, if because I'm a little bit more, I've drawn these figures quite a few times. One of the things you can do to make it easier for yourself to draw the figures is to draw like kind of simplify it down. So the head you can just put so don't even worry about the details, but more the placement of them and the size of them. So you know this one's probably going to be a bit bigger. So just draw a rectangle for the body, a bit of a rectangle for the head, and maybe a triangle for the leg. And kind of use the side of your pen to scratch it in, okay? And do the same with the other ones, and then you can flesh out the details. You can put in the darker bits and pieces after. So this one here, I kind of started from the head and had an indication of how large to put the head and stuff like that as well. But the easiest thing I reckon for beginners is to actually go with the body and put the body in, and then the legs, and then at least you know this one's going to be bigger than these ones because it's this lady's forwards a little bit further. So and then you can put in the legs a little bit further down as well. So that helps you to gauge the size. In terms of like the facial features, I really like in these ones, I keep it pretty simple. As you can see, I've just got a line there from the mouth, a little dot for the eye. This lady's got a little nose there, a couple of eyes there, maybe a mouth or something like that there. I tend to keep them pretty simple. With these line drawings, I find them the more you imply the facial details, the easier. So you can put an eyebrow, a couple of dots for the eyes, that kind of thing in there. So I hope that kind of helps you, V. I'm gonna look. There's a few more questions. Enjoying your teaching figures are difficult for me. Pointers. Oh, I did go through some of them just then, Carol. But one of the things you want to make sure is the figures are in proportion. So the head one thing that you'll notice is that the head will fit into the body, into the whole figure 7.5 to 8 times. You should be able to take that head and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a bit, half or whatever. So for the average figure, that's the proportions. I mean, everyone comes in different shapes and sizes, obviously. And also the thing is with like children, uh, children also have larger heads in combination to their bodies. It's just a proportional thing. So you'll notice their heads, yeah, they're just going to be like a bit larger than their bodies. Um, so that's something to keep in mind when you're drawing kids and stuff like that. But adults, generally speaking, their heads will fit to the body like 7.5, it's the whole figure, 7.5 to 8 times. And after a while, you get, yeah, you get the idea of how to structure them. Um, Righto. Sarita says, enjoying the decisions you make while drawing painting. I'm sure it will be a challenge for me to do it. Yeah, look, it's a challenge for me also to do it. It's not like I'm doing this without thinking at all. You know, because I've got a bit more experience in drawing some of these figures. Like once I get into it, I'm fine, but I'm still thinking a lot on how I'm going to place things. And sometimes I make a mistake, and I'm like, oh, geez, I gotta fix that up. How am I going to change that up? So I'm kind of, I'm just enjoying the process as well. It's a bit exciting, because you never know exactly what's going to happen. But that's why we've got the structure. We've got a general structure of the perspective and where the buildings finish off, the size of the figures. And if you've got that general structure to play around with, you can use your artistic freedom to change the rest. Michael Gordon's asking, where do you live? Oh, is that say do it? Are you saying where do you like? Where do you like or where do you live? I'm thinking you're asking where do I live. So I'm in Melbourne, Victoria. It's 11:30 here. I hope that's what you wanted to know. Otherwise, do let me know. Don's here as well. How you going, Don? Good to see you. Um, you're a urban sketcher, and good to see you again. You're always here most weeks. So thank you for the support. And and awesome. Good to hear you're enjoying it. So let's continue sketching, and I'll bring up that reference photo a bit here on the side as well. So this is a bit of a technique I'll show you now to just sketch in a few figures real quickly, because I don't want to really put too much time into this background area. So what we'll do, let's put in a few like heads. So this is like a kind of a beanie here for this person, like that. Okay, then I'm not even gonna really lift the pen off the page, but here's another person here, kind of the side of that person's head, like that, a bit of hair there. We can put a head of this lady sort of leaning over, maybe in here. We've got another lady sort of in there, and another person here, perhaps facing to the left, like that as well. Okay. Um, they're going to be around the same size as this person. In fact, this person looks like more like a teenager now. But basically, they're around the set. They're going to be around the same size. So I'm going to pop in some details, and I'm actually going to bring these ones a little bit further, like closer to the scene. This one here doesn't matter. But notice how I am just overlapping all these shapes with each other, and I'm not really trying to detail them all that much. I'm just giving it a quick once over like this. Yeah. Like that. Oops. Do that shirt or something there. And then the legs coming down here. There's a foot and a shoe here. And we got another one here where it's bent a little bit and maybe the foot is facing again, that sort of way. They're roughly the same size as maybe these ones, or this fella there is slightly smaller. Get them around the same size, you're completely fine. So this one here kind of actually appears a bit more larger. I'll put in like a shirt or something here in the background. And that's maybe they're talking, these two people are talking, and get an arm out or something. Get an arm out talking about something. And then we have the leg of this one here. There, and then the other one behind that. And again, the direction in which you put the feet. Because people often, when they're talking to each other, they face each other. So doing this kind of thing makes it look like they're talking. And then over in the background, we've got kind of not much discerning detail back there, but I'm trying to just simplify the details of some of these figures in the background so that the foreground figure here, these two people who are talking, will come out a little bit more. And another thing I'll do is create a darker outline around those figures, and this will help to bring them forwards a bit. This he's kind of putting a cup in his arm, in his hand. This guy can just have a fist. That okay. So then we have it. I'm going to outline this one a bit more too. It's important also not to overdo this, but it does help to bring them out a bit more. But as you can see in the background, there's really just lighter details, which I'm putting in for some of the figures here. So it's kind of creating a little bit of a sense of depth, this scene. That's one of the ways that you can use your pen to draw in details like that. Just going a bit lighter in the background. Okay. Another thing you can do, again, I said like hatching is a really good technique. I'm thinking whether I want to hatch this guy. I might hatch this person here a bit. Just darken the body a little in a pen. Okay, good, good, good. Perhaps I'll hatch the trousers. This person there. Yeah. Maybe this guy can also have a hat. Let's put in a little beanie on top of that, top of this fella. Okay. So we got a lot of stuff going on in here. A lot of stuff, but taking our time and just as much detail as you want. You don't have to do it like me. You don't have to put in as much detail as this. Put in less, or you can even put in more. Okay, but certainly up to you. There's a few figures here on that right hand side. So here I've drawn in. Notice just some heads popping out there. Let's put some more in. Let's maybe have another one. Actually, this guy is kind of leaning over, doing I don't know what he's doing. He's eating someone's food or something. And like this. There's a looks like a woman here, here. Okay. As you move into the background, what you're gonna find is you don't need to put in as much details. Um, and also it's a strategic thing so that you're not creating too much um, too much competition between these figures and all the others. It's kind of as you move backwards, you'll find that the detail generally reduces down. Okay, the feet kind of like finish here, roughly here, because they're like further back in the distance here. And then the other one here. Okay, let's put in a shoe or something like that facing that general direction. Bit of her arm like there as well. You see a little bit of an arm sticking out there. This one here, maybe in like pockets. Looking back, create some darkness on the back of a head like that. So that indicates hair in the back. You don't have to also do this now. You can go in with the watercolors later and put in that detail. So that's just something that I've chosen to do here. Okay, so there we go. We've got this guy here. And let's go put in some legs. Let's put them in one here. One here. They kind of, look at them, I'm just drawing these elongated triangles. That's all they are, they're just kind of elongated triangles. Bit of a shoe there, and then we've got a shoe here, pointing kind of slightly outwards like that. Okay, there we go. We've got a couple of figures in there. Certainly it gives the impression of a figure there. Okay, without too much fussing about, without too much hard work. Okay, you notice I'm just starting to go on with the buildings now. doing the buildings last so that I can cut around the figures. Something that I always do. It saves you from actually. We are cutting over some of these lines, but for the most part, we're not. If we did all the buildings first and then all the windows, all that kind of stuff, and then went over it with the figures, you're going to find that you're going to be going over the detail in the background, and you're going to be wasting time drawing in areas that are going to be covered over anyway and look a bit messy too. So it's just something to keep in mind. We've got a guy here, maybe just sort of looking over to the right, arm outstretched like this, and body here. That I kind of had to go over the head of this other one there. There's a leg going forwards, and there's a leg going backwards like that, or whatever. So look how quickly I did that one, and here's another figure here. Maybe it's just standing forwards, and then we got one here again, kind of standing with the hoodie and arm coming down, and then the large sort of jacket here. Extend that guy a bit. And here we go, just to put a leg here and then a leg coming behind there. So pretty simple. Maybe behind like that. And there's someone here as well, kind of a beanie, kind of looking forwards there. Would at the back there. Standing here. Okay, like that. What have we got here? We've got like another few figures and people. There might be someone here, there, a bit of hair or something. Another head here, another head here with a bit of hair or what have you. Could be a person kind of facing forwards, and then we have some legs here as well. All kind of just overlap with each other like that. This one might be just leaning in, looking at the shop or something like that there. It's also important to leave a bit of area for the eye, I think, to just relax. Just put in another, I'm just guessing, putting in another one here. There we go. Someone like standing here, background. That. We've got perhaps another person here that's just walking away as well to the scene. Look how little, not much detail that you need to put in for that one at all. And just walking away in that sort of area. There, a bit of the arm. That. A few more figures here. Let's put a head and just a few more, just to keep things balanced, so that we got figures here, we got figures here on the left hand side. I'm also trying to create make them a little bit smaller, just like in the reference. Okay, lady's wearing like a pretty big scarf, and body I've done too large, but doesn't matter. Leg here, other leg behind, like that perhaps. Let me just redo this one. I think we'll make this figure a little larger. A tiny bit larger. Now this is the thing, because we've got these figures here which are in the foreground, and I've accidentally put a feet too far down. The issue with this is that this figure is going to look too small. So we can leave this figure kind of like as a child or something like that. But I do want to put in another larger figure in here to sort of match up with what's going on with this side. So notice the feet are kind of around this region. So that kind of looks around the size of this figure, but the head's too, the length of the body is really short. So it looks kind of like a child or a teenager or something. So yeah, what I can do, we can just put in another larger shape here, for a person, or what have you. Could be wearing a hat there, and I'm just gonna bring this further down, like that, there, put a leg forwards like this. There. Other leg here. Other leg here. Behind. There. And these two can be kind of more linked together. Okay. So that looks a bit better. Just makes more sense this way. Facial details. Yeah, so that's obviously some of that detail in the background has been obliterated, all the heads and stuff like that going through there. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and work on the buildings a little bit, and I will just outline the edge of this building more. Remember to use a liner that is a little bit thinner as well for these background ones so that we don't draw them out too much. Now, what I like to do is to look at patterns as well in buildings. So we got halfway point, roughly about half with the buildings. You know, got this top section here, which runs all the way across the top part of that building, and then when there's kind of like some of this stuff top as well. And like I said before, because this is kind of like a silhouette or like a cutout silhouette kind of thing that they put on top of these buildings. We're gonna have to invent some things in here and make it look a bit more 3D. So that's why I've done this for that building there, even though it's kind of not. That's how it's meant to look, because we've got a two-dimensional cutout on top. It doesn't appear. So I do actually appreciate this V sending me this reference. It's something different. It's challenging. Uh, and I'll encourage you all to do references and practice references that you don't normally do as well. Often I find that you know, you tend to go for things that you are comfortable with, and that's like, you know, life in general, I suppose. You know, if you stick with things that you're comfortable with, but if you always stick with those things, you never know, one, how far you can go, and two, whether you might be interested in some other things. So being open to the other experiences. I mean, even if it's just like something like as simple as a subject or something. When you're drawing or you're painting, you'd be surprised. You end up finding some stuff and some interests, subjects, and things that you normally would shy away from. It could be portraiture, for example. It could be I don't know. It could be animals or be buildings or who knows. Um, but often you find you surprise yourself. That's for sure. I'm going to be, you know, probably I don't know which ones, but probably in one of the next few lives, I'm going to be doing some figures, some watercolor figures, and I think that will push me out of my comfort zone a little bit. I haven't done them for quite some time. Um, done a lot of like buildings and stuff like that. Even these figures, I don't do them like so too detailed as well. So I think if I go through, maybe do some more detailed portraits and stuff, because people have been asking about that too. I think that will be something good, something different. Okay, so look at that. We've got some of these buildings and the details now. Looking at separations, this building has like one separation at the top, then there's two here. There's like a line in between, so I can just draw a kind of line running in between, like here. Okay, and then we've got a kind of like a shade here, like a bit of a cover. Okay, 3D this out a bit more like that. You can see the pillar running down the side like this. We've got like kind of the bottom part here that kind of overlaps with some figures, and here let's put in a few quick ones there. Just not much in there at all. Look at that, just a couple of indications. Cover that up, that area a bit, and we'll notice also this other building kind of like it separates to the second building here, and then there's the opportunity to draw the other cover, the shade. Okay, and you can make them big or as small as you'd like, whatever colors you want as well. I don't have to be exactly as in the reference. I like to make them a little bit larger actually, just so that they, I don't know, they appear more obvious in there. This is some kind of, I don't know what this shop is, but there's a lot of bits and pieces here. It's all the only way I can describe it. And here in the background, it's actually darker. That's going to be like kind of the sky. Okay, so I'm hatching away at this section. Bits in the shop, there's like things hanging around. Little, even here at the bottom, there's a bit of detailing there. Okay, so that's kind of like the shop there at the bottom. At the top here, we're gonna have to again just put in some windows. These windows are like cut out and stuck on windows. So if I can just make them more a little bit more detailed. One, so there's like basically three windows. Three, two, three. Yeah. Space them out evenly. That's super important. Um, Perhaps got these shutters on there. Like so. Just having a look how these shutters are. Okay. Something like that. I actually got these like contour lines. The insides of the windows, separate them out. Just a few little lines in here, and then I will maybe color in some of these windows. Darken up a bit of the insides of them. This, not in all of them. Something like that. Okay, good, good, good. A couple of these other little windows underneath. It's just a square. Just draw it like a square there. There's another square here underneath that window. Like that. Simplify color anything there. Perhaps I'll draw a third window here as well. There's actually something else in there, but I can't see exactly what it is. But simplify down into another window, and I think we've got pretty much all the detail that we need in for that building. It's actually quite a lot in there. We've got sort of shades, quick indication like that. Here we go, some more windows. And for those of you who were watching along in one of my previous ones, I did like an area of Copenhagen, and I think I drew something like 70 to I don't know how many windows in there, like 100 different windows, and I was getting very, I wouldn't say frustrated, but getting there, drawing all those windows in. But it actually turned out to be one of my favorites. Um, you don't have to get in all the details of these windows, just as long as you got that basic kind of square shape in there, a couple of frames, of details. I mean, there's actually these little, look like plants or something coming around. Like, is it Christmas holly? I think so. So, you know, coming around the edges like that. There, that looks good. Bit of detail on the roof. I don't think I'll need to really do much there. I'll just emphasize and straighten up this roof a little bit too. That. Okay. And we'll do the same for this one here. Not much more to go. We've only got a few more bits and pieces remaining before we actually get started painting. Just have a quick look at the chats. Quick look at the chats. Um, okay, V just started on the second person. Oh no, I think you were all right. It's very busy. Yes, it is. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I probably overdone that one actually. Um, that's why I prefer at times to start off in the objects and things in the foreground. I've Otherwise I can tend to get like bogged down a bit with those ones. But let's focus. I think I might switch over. I'm going to go to this one here. Okay, you don't have to put as much detail as I have in there. Just as much as you feel it looks fine. You're happy with. Okay. Um, quick look at the chats, everyone. Great. There's also Tan Heng in the chats. Thank you for joining, Tan. And Tan says, "Hi, Darren. I like your narrative accompanying your drawing. Thank you, and I'm glad that it's that you're finding it helpful." And V says she's still working on the final peoples. It's okay. Um, yeah, take your time. There's no hurry with any of this. It's just get to the point where you feel you got to be happy with it yourself. Yeah, you got to be happy to start the painting. At the same time, in terms of the painting, if there's things that you feel don't look so good in the drawing, you can always amend and alter some of this stuff later in the actual drawing. Sorry, in the actual painting. So don't feel like it's your last opportunity or whatever. So I don't think I'm going to put any more people in there. Put way too many. Bit out of hand. Uh, good, good. Let's get cracking again. Um, I'll bring up my reference picture, but as always, do let me know if you need any more help. Need me to discuss what I'm doing or give you a few pointers. I think that's the good thing about me being in these live sessions, because sometimes I can't get back to all the comments. I try my best to get back to all the comments, but I don't get alerted of all of them, and then sometimes also I tend to miss a few. But I do try my best to get back to everyone. Um, but use this opportunity while I'm here. Ask me as many questions. Just pick my brains. So let's start off with this one. This was that building that I kind of invented because we needed to put some bit of 3D sort of work in there. More. So here I'm just putting in a bit of a bit of detail on the roof like that. And this is a thicker pen as well. As you can see, this is 0.7 liner. Okay. We're gonna have to guess. We're gonna have to guess a few things in here, guys. Have to invent a few things in here. Because we don't have details to kind of work off. Okay, thinking like kind of like an area here. Thinking perhaps window here. Let's see, window here. Like that. How does that look? Okay. Bit of the window frame. Don't be afraid also to leave broken edges on some areas. You don't have to draw everything in. That's something that can make it look a bit more natural rather than drawing a whole square shape in there. Leaving a few broken edges, and also notice how I sort of I purposely just create a bit of jaggedy sort of lines and areas as well. Just part of it's part of the style that I use. You know, why not just put a window here as well? One here on the side, like this, and then one here at the front. Put in the frames with a frame here as well. This can be just like a simple one, maybe with a shutter here. Okay, coming out the sides like that. a bit close to the side of the building, but um, we'll work with it. Sometimes there can be, those these kind of like rounder sort of windows up the top there to indicate that there's like a cellar or something in there, or sorry, an attic. So, I think that might be nice putting that in, something like that. Okay, good. Good. Should we have some light sort of coming out of just gonna dark. There's enough light actually on the buildings and stuff as well. It's radiating out. So I just colored in a bit of that there. And of course, here at the front, we have a bit of this door that comes all the way down and goes behind this figure. And in fact, it's further out, goes further out, edge of the door, all the way down. I'm going to simplify this kind of there, there, that. Okay, so we got a door, the kind of pattern on it as well. I'm not going to really emphasize that all too much, but perhaps some more darkness, some of these edges of the door like that. Okay, good, good. I want to put something here. Perhaps another window or something running down. Just a quick little one there like that. Okay, good, good. Shutters. Quick little window. I don't want to be careful so that these figures are still coming out. So that's it. We've got that building's done. Now let's do this big one here. Let's separate it out so that the kind of point, the halfway point of the building is roughly like here. Okay. Cross like that. There. There. A bit of this shade just comes out. That. There. Fantastic. This. And this bit of this side here. Underneath as well. This shade there. And I've done this corner here. It's kind of a bit shaded because it's in the darkness. This building is quite a lot of bits and pieces in there. Again, simplify them down. It's like little shapes that I'm doing here, and you find. Actually, these are more angles, more downwards. Doesn't matter. Okay, something like that. Little sign here. Sign. What is that? I wonder what that word means. If anyone speaks German. Cushion. Uh, bit of detail back there underneath. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to create some light and areas, areas of light and dark originating inside here, and then we will kind of use that also in bit of darkness in there as well, in some areas to draw out contrast with these figures here in the front. So this is a good, love those sort of areas of contrast. Okay, there is a kind of a bell or something here. There. And a ribbon. Ornamental. Is that a bell? Not sure what that is. Doesn't matter. Bit of decoration. Put that in like that. You will notice as well these sections on the side are tricky. I've kind of made also this building almost go behind that other building, so that's not missing a corner over there. There you go, just a few little bits underneath like that too. Um, this bit kind of separates there. There, this has actually got more stronger edges in this section of this. Put in a few stronger edges, stronger running through. It's enough. And a few here. That. This. Here's a bit of these like tinsel and baubles. Very hard to see exactly what is going on in here. Simplifying down. Yeah, and I'll make that kind of a greenish, greeny sort of, in there. Okay, cool. We got all these bricks and things running through here. Simplify this down. Not going to draw them all in, maybe just a few. Few bricks for building. Okay. Maybe one large one here in the center. Okay, another one maybe here. Good. Moving on, let's do this one here. There's the edge of the rooftop starts like here. And again, these windows are not real. We can still draw them in. We'll make this one just kind of one window here. Simplify that down. I put a bit too much detail into that. Prefer to put in less, but sometimes when I don't have the contrast of this stuff here to that, because I started there, that's what happens. Door that starts roughly here. That's behind these figures. And these horizontal lines running in the background like that. Yeah, that's a door. There. The sign here. Yeah. Some ornamental things there. Okay. Oh, like these shields. Draw them in. Draw the bottom of the point there and just connect them with the point. Okay. Okay, that's a lot in there. That's really quite extensive. Okay. I'd even say it's too extensive, but good practice. I don't know what this is here on the side. There seems to be some kind of, I don't know what it is. It's like a something ornamental here on the side here. So I think I'm just going to indicate whatever it is, okay? But more so as a way um, to create some contrast here in the sky. So we've got some kind of light in there as well. This is a seahorse. Mine doesn't look much like a seahorse. Okay. Okay. We are pretty much done. The only last thing I could suggest is, on the ground you can put in these little lines, basically these perspective lines. The way I do it is that I draw a little dot here, and then I'll just create some lines going towards that dot. That there in the back there, and that just helps to create a sense of perspective running through your scene. Having a look. Okay, good. So how are we all doing? We are done pretty much with the drawing. I hope you have fun with that. It's quite relaxing for me actually, taking my time and just doing the drawing. I'm going to check the comments to see where we are up to. What time is it? It's already 12. Okay, so I think we'd be able to get this done in another 30-40 minutes, the drawing. V says, wow, you got into so much of the details and love it so far. I won't be able to get as much as you did with my first go this time. Yeah, it's you know, you can always give it another go, later, and kind of decide if sometimes I do the same scene many times over. Certainly with some of the Venice ones, I keep doing them, but they each time they get better, or not even better, but they get a little bit more interesting, where I might change some elements over here and there. Don says he's having great fun. Fantastic, Don. Good to hear. So I'm going to go through some of my paints now. I'm going to bring out some of my paints to show you what I'll be using. Okay, so I've got my palette here. Firstly, I'm going to put the pens away. Off to the side so there's not too much distractions happening. I've got this palette here, which is a new palette that I got somewhat recently. And this is basically a large kind of porcelain palette, allowing me to mix better. I never thought that I'd like a palette like this, but I use it pretty much all the time now. But you don't need something like this. All you need is just like a little tin palette, or even a plate. If you've got a plate and some paints that you squeeze onto the plate, that's all you need. Okay, so some of the colors that I'll be using are basically, I'll just separate them out into warm and cool colors. So shift this around a bit as well. So I've got things like cerulean blue. I've got some lavender, a bit of the what is it called, the ultramarine, and then the yellows are just basically warm colors. I've got some carbazole not carbazole orange, but some macaron burnt orange. I've got tons of yellow. Okay, as long as you got your three primaries, you'll be fine. Okay, I'm just getting all my brushes and stuff set up. Just get another towel, put that here. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm painting, for some reason, after I just tend to splash paint all over the place, and I have to clean up for a bit after, and just don't even notice it happening. I've got paint on my computer, got paint on my shirt. Okay, so let's get started on this one, guys. And what I am going to do first is I'm going to go pick out a brush, a small brush. I'm going to use a number 10 round brush. Okay. And what we're going to do, we're going to just put in some of the lighter details. Okay. All of the light colors. What do I mean by the light colors? Well, I've got some of these lights here. Right, we need some of these. We need to put a bit of warmth in there. In fact, one thing that I've forgotten to do is, there's actually like little lamps or something coming off here. You can see a tiny little lamp or something, that creates something like that. You can do that as well and just create a bit of light running through. It's not like 100% necessary, but something like that as well. So anywhere that has a bit of light. So I'll pick up a bit of yellow. This is just Hansa yellow here. Okay, but there. Let's drop in some with these areas. You know, we can go in here as well, you know, top of that building. I do love this orange that I'm using as well, this quinacridone burnt orange. It just creates some granulation, that's some beautiful granulation effects. Drop that in. Just be bold with this, don't overthink it. Even with these little sections up the top here, what's going to happen is that we're going to go over the top section of the sky with a bit of darkness later, and that's going to draw out the colors of these, the light on here. Okay, in fact, these should be a little bit brighter. Okay. We'll cut around them later. Okay, and we'll have to respray the paper with a bit of with a little bit of water, because these are, you know, most certainly going to dry up. So really just some orange. I'm using a muted down orange, and the exact color, as I said before, is quinacridone burnt orange. It has a really nice granulating color to it that I just have, been obsessed with lately. You know, so here also is some burnt sienna, a bit of burnt sienna, that. Let's have a look. What else do we have in here? We've got some of these colors. I've also got yellow ochre. Okay, so the buildings have this sort of warmer color in the background like that. See, but I do like to cut around the windows so that we can put in perhaps some other cooler colors running through. Let's have a look. Some of these windows here. Put in a bit more, maybe orange for this one, and some more of the yellow, a bit of that Hansa yellow in here, just like that. Okay, like that. Bit in here, 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 downwards, and a bit more brown or something down this doorway, like that. And be careful to not go over the figures as well. Righto. Bit of green. Drop in a bit of green like that. It's just this is oh, so it is green. It's a bit of, what would you call it? It's undersea green that I've been using lately. It's just a new color, granulates out beautifully. What I really want is for some of the sky to mix into the buildings as well. So there's a bit of wet and wet that I'll do later. The tops of these buildings, they're just a cool color. I'm going to mix up a bit of ultramarine here, but it is dulled down slightly, so then there's not too much vibrancy in there. But again, this is up to you, really up to you, depending on how much vibrancy you want to imply or that kind of thing. Just go with what colors you want. But the buildings, the top of the buildings with the blue, they're certainly a little bit darker than the yellows, and that's just also a product of the properties of that particular paint. Some colors are just going to look more lighter, and some colors are going to look darker than others naturally. Oof. I think this is like green shade. There's some green bits and pieces running through. Maybe I'll leave some bits of white as well, like that. Notice how I'm letting everything join up as well. I'm not being too precious with all the colors in here, because it's actually going to look a lot nicer. We let some of it join and naturally mix together. There's something, it's just that effect that I really like, by letting it do its thing. Okay. This combination of warm and cool colors in here. Okay, that is it for those buildings out the back there. Let's continue on with this one. Some more orange up here, actually, if I can just create more depth in the top. And you'll notice there's actually a bit of blue up there. Noticed that before. I'm just going to mute down a bit of that ultramarine and drop some in. Kind of here. And there's a bit of mixing going on the palette, but there's also a lot going on just in there, just in the paper. There you go, just a bit here. Drop that. This is a bit of a paint called geothite, which is like a granulating brown sort of paint I found lately. It's amazing, and I mix that with ultramarine blue, and you can get these indications of texture. I don't know if you can see yet, but it's almost looks slightly textured. Okay, bit in there. Put in a bit of up the top here is just some burnt sienna, and further down the bottom, we're going to put in some blue, some more vibrant blue actually. This running through. Connect that up here to the top section of the these little bricks and stuff there. Side there. Down the bottom, I love that mix, that Hansa yellow mix with quinacridone burnt orange. Look at that. There's a golden sort of element to it. I don't know. I've not really used quinacridones. I've never used them until quite recently, but I understand now why people love them so much. It brings a different quality to your paintings. I don't know. It just that gold sort of feeling in there. I don't know. I just can't get that with other kind of other types of oranges. So let's continue on. Let's put in a bit more paint here. Let's get in some more quinacridone. Okay. Bit of yellow in here. Okay. The rooftop is probably going to be darker in here as well. So here is some bit of ultramarine. I'm just dropping into the rooftop here, like this, quickly, and not too much fussing about. Some more yellow and a bit of that orange as well, just dropping in. I'm trying to merge these two buildings a bit together. There, there. Yeah, still undecided as to what to do with this other one on that right hand side. Still not 100% decided on what to do with this one on the right. I reckon we'll go with some warm and cool colors in here, so we can just create a bit of warmth again using that same mixture of orange and yellow. Okay, and if you want it to look brighter as well, just add some more yellow into it. Okay, this is some more brown. I'm going to add in some brown and a bit of blue in here to darken off this bit a little. Okay, and let's pick up some. Use another brush because that one's just filled with brown paint now. I get a bit of this blue running through here, the windows, just a light wash that will mix in nicely with everything. Look at that, I've just dunked it in there. A bit of yellow and a bit of maybe this brown actually in here. There we go. Don't be afraid to leave some bits of white on the page as well. It doesn't have to all be kind of colored in. Okay. Yeah, a bit there. Fantastic. So now I'm going to bring a bit of this down into the ground. This kind of reflected light of the buildings. So really it's just going to be orange plus some kind of browns in here. This box is like a brown kind of color anyway, so I'm just going to go over the top of that. Areas like that here. This building here is darker at the base, so I can just put in some more, bit more dark in here. There in between that figure as well here, a bit darker. Okay, and then the rest of it, I'm just going to go crazy with these quinacridone and a bit of the yellow quinacridone and the yellow. And what we'll do as well, I'm going to darken the ground off a little, but before I do that, I think having some of this warmth in here is going to be good. The figures as well, that's something that I need to do, get in the kind of reflection for the figures on the ground. Basically, I'm thinking I'll just do some vertical reflections for some of them, for all of them really, so that we've got some action going on in the ground. Funny that sounds, but basically just a bit of carry on effect there. And then I'm going to also, over the edges here, try to fade it out so that it looks more dark on the edges. Okay, so where we got some brown, a bit of brown and some little blue perhaps. The edges, especially down here. Not as big of a deal down this part of the bottom of the page, but more like to that left-hand side. If I can just create some more contrast here, that will help to draw out the light. Okay, just a bit of darkness in that corner. Okay, good. Now here comes that time to do the sky, and it's pretty dark. As you can see, it's pretty much the darkest color you can get. If you've got some indigo or something, go ahead and use that. Thinking round brush, yeah, we can use the round brush. We can also use a flat brush, depending on what you got. Round brush, flat brush. What am I doing? Touching that paper for some reason. So I'm going to be mixing up. Ooh, what are we going to do? We're going to get some ultramarine, really dark mix of ultra, and I have some raw umber, burnt umber. I can't remember what it is. I think it's actually burnt umber. Just whatever leftover bit I have here on the palette. Create a pretty dark sort of color. Let's test that. Dark, but we need it to be darker, so some more neutral tint. Okay, but something like that. I've forgotten to get in a little corner of this bit of that yellow light there. Okay, and you know, like I said before, well, I was saying before that we would wet the page again, but I'm just going to see if we can get by without doing it. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. Maybe I'll wet part of it, spray down the top part of it, see what happens. Maybe here, just a little bit there. And then we'll have some kind of elements of sharpness and darkness in there as well. So here we go. Whatever it is, it's like a seahorse or something. Yeah, just cutting around. It's pretty dark. I'm putting more neutral tint in here as well. But there, cut around this figure. It's almost it's as dark as you can get it, really. Even in this corner of the shot, you can see it's kind of like got an edge of it, exposes the background and the sky kind of peeking through there, down here, cutting around that light still. Let's try with a few of these. Let's have a look to see how it appears. All right, that actually looks fine. I was a bit worried that it would look too cut out, but that actually looks okay. So I'm happy with it. Okay, hold the brush kind of near the end as well. And that's how you can get these kind of bits of white and sketchy kind of looks in areas. So remember to cut around the bits of lighter sections as well. Yeah, there we go, a bit there, 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 bit here. So that some of it will probably go a bit furry because I've wet the paper. Um, when you wet the paper, what happens is that you create edges that are softer. Um, and these softer edges are basically they help things to blend and look more fluid. Um, that can be an advantage, and it also can be a disadvantage. In this case, um, I thought, yeah, having a little bit of fluidity in here would be nice. So that's why I'm trying a bit of it out here. You'll notice up this section, it's blending, starting to maybe difficult for you to see on camera, but can you see it? It's starting to bloom a little bit in here. It spreads. So in comparison to what happened over there, we are now having kind of looser like shapes in this section for the lights. Okay. So I don't know. I just thought I'd try that out. I wasn't sure whether it would work so well or not, but just it's always good to see what will happen. Um, it's kind of, sometimes when you take a photograph and then it has that kind of bokeh effect, kind of like a halo effect around the light areas because of how contrasting the light is. That's kind of what I had in mind. But you've almost got two ways. So you've got this way here, which is like softer, and then here it's like sharper. You can even barely tell that they are lights. But you they're more of an indication. Uh, it does create some contrast there in the sky. Okay, bit more paint, some more blue, some more brown, and a bit of neutral tint. Continue on. Yeah, cutting around this um, building now. Here, I've forgotten to paint that bit of that building in. Just this bit here, I forgot to some I don't know, whatever. Get in a bit of that. Okay. Alrighty, so that's the sky pretty much done. Get that down a little bit further, like okay. That's the largest contrast here is basically in the sky and the buildings. And now what we're going to do is get in a little bit of color for the buildings, and I'll use a smaller brush. I've got a little round brush here. And like I was saying before, this is kind of where I like to put in some like bits of cool sort of colors just running through in areas. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. I want to leave that white. Um, here, something to just balance out some of these warmer colors in there. Okay. Spots there. It's going to work quite well also with the figures here in the foreground, having some kind of cooler colors. So here, that lady that I was painting before, I'm just now putting in a bit of color there. Also, if you can put in the flesh tones as well. I usually use a mixture of red, yellow, and uh, burnt umber or something like that. A bit of blue as well. Get a few different flesh tones in there. Um, just a bit of color for the. I'm just for simplification purposes. I'm gonna just drop it in like that. Okay. There. 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 Bit of like a pink sort of there. There we go. some pieces like that. I mean, like some of them you can't even see their faces. Okay, just like that, and it will dry off and do its own thing in there. And then the rest of it is just putting in some other tones. So I've got some darker browns and things like we had mixed up earlier, even stuff from the sky that mixed before. And you can cool it down by putting more blue. So look at that, that's like got a little bit more blue in it. And I can warm it up again like that. Keep things very fluid and spontaneous. Okay, and for the most part, a lot of these figures are darker than the actual buildings, and we want to. I think it's going to be a good idea to make them darker, okay, because that's going to create a contrast between the figures and the buildings. Otherwise, they're going to look too. How should I say? They're going to look too washed out. Bit there, bit of have a bit of blue for this fella. Bit of blue back of his jumper. I mean, it is a kind of cooler grey sort of color anyway. There we go. That this person here, how about some turquoisey kind of color there, just a bit of turquoisey color. And the lady at the front, I'm going to put in some red for her jacket. And this is going to contrast a bit with the blue of that, the turquoisey color of the one in the background, that guy in the back there. Okay. Fantastic. Some color. Put some here. How about this guy? What am I going to do for this person? Okay, blue. Blue. Well, it's actually a lilac sort of color, not exactly blue, but it's a cool color. Bit of warmth for that figure on that left. Oh, it's kind of seeped in, that red, that blue is seeped in. Yeah. Yeah. Blue for that one. Or just a cooler color, and then warmth for that one on the left, like that. Okay. Get in some of the colors for the shutters of these windows, like that. And then just a tiny bit of coolness in that area. That. Good. Good. Darkness back there as well. The figures, the legs of the figures, again, this is something that we need to figure out. So we've got two choices. We've got sort of downward shadows, just travel down the page, or we can do shadows that go across the page. Yeah, decisions, hey? I think I'm just going to get them to come down the page. Yeah, I think I'm just going to join them up and get some downward shapes for the legs. Keep it simple. I mean, almost like the ground is wet, but sometimes when you've got a highly reflective ground as well, you do get that effect. Okay, so look, I just want to keep it simple. So some of this dark color is just neutral tint, and some of it is a bit of the blue, bit of ultramarine blue, and then a little bit of brown to balance it out a bit. So got the legs of some of these figures. So this one here, just drop in some color like that. We can do it for this one as well here. Change it up as well. Don't make them all look the same. There, put a darkness here for the legs of these figures. Remember, this dries off a little bit later, so that you'll be able to see the you'll be able to see the line work going through. So while it looks really dark at the moment, remember that it does dry off to a much more lighter sort of tone. So often you think that it looks way too dark, but actually when it dries, it's fine. Shadow in there, underneath there, and I think this guy needs a bit of shadow on the left-hand side of him as well. That legs, there. This crate also needs to be darkened down a little bit. Okay, it all just joins on together. This right. Here's some more figures and legs. Bring that down like that. Okay. I always like to remember to leave the space in between the legs as well, because that helps to create a sense of when we do the shadow, it makes it look a lot more interesting. Okay, so there's some legs. There's some legs here for these two on the left. I'll just go a bit more looser. Okay. And what we're doing, what we were saying before, is just some uh, shapes, some softer shapes on the ground for the kind of downward shadows, reflections. I will spray, I'm going to spray it a little bit. Have you, so just a little bit of a spray at the bottom, okay, to create, I'm hoping, a bit more of a softer look, okay? So let's try this one. Okay. Really I've just dropped it in. Here's another one there. Really just got to go for it. And it may not work out, but thought just give it a try. Another option, if you guys are watching along and you don't want to do this, you can make the shadows go to the left as well to preserve more of that light on the figures and on the ground. Just something I like doing. I don't know why, but shadows of the ones in the back, or the reflections of the ones in the back, are not going to be as dark, and I won't make them come down too far as well. I'm gonna have a look at it from a distance, how it appears. I like this one. Some of these look all right. Let's try this one here. Okay. A little bit there for these ones here. The background, the distance. It's the same sort of effect I did. I don't know if any of you watched one of the last demonstrations I did with like a scene of Prague. I did something similar like this with the reflections. And then, of course, I'm going to start putting in some little guiding lines here for the perspective. So I'm going to intersecting with reflections and things. And doing it wet really helps to, I don't know, in a way it like brings everything together. So that's why I'm trying to do it now. I also I don't want it to be too obvious. Like that. Okay. That's a bit dark, but okay. The ground has textures on it as well. Little textures. So sometimes you turn your brush on the side and just get a few little scratchy bits and pieces here. Don't have to, if you want to draw in each of these bricks, you can do that. I don't really want to do it though, scene, so it's just a personal choice. A little bit more darkness here on that left hand side as well. I thought, so I just want to balance that out a little. Yeah. And a bit more water in here. This is too much. Section there, but doesn't matter. Okay. Tissue. This is just a bit of paper towel that I got. Just hoping this will create a bit of texture on the floor and then soften up some of those shadows as well. Okay, that looks all right, and we'll give this a little dry. Do let me know what you think and also how you are going. We are almost done. We are almost done. We just need to put in just a few more dark colors and contrasts in here, and we're pretty much finished. But I'd love to hear where you guys are up to as well, and if you have any further questions, that sort of thing. I hope I haven't got any. I think I got some paint in my water. Okay. So I'll just have a quick look at the comments. Durenda, good to see you. Durenda Thika. Amazing how much detail is in your drawing. This is the first time I got to see your drawing process, and your palette is so tidy. Thank you, Durenda. And that's a new compliment in terms of my tidy palette, because I have an extremely messy palette. If you want to see, normally, because I'd run out of space and I was getting a bit greedy with all the colors. So here's my other palette. I actually cleaned it today prior to the session. Fiona McCoud says, looks awesome, thanks. Oh, sorry, Frank. I'm going blind. Sorry, Frank. Computer's a little bit further away from me. But thank you so much. And Ellen's here as well. Ellen Whitney, she's one of my patrons, says, another fun one. I'll do it with the recording. I had to work. Yes, unfortunately, one of those things, isn't it? Work. I have a bit of time off for the next few weeks, so I'm hoping to do some more demonstrations and lives and things like that. I've got a little bit more time. For those of you who want to see some more of my material as well, I do have a Patreon. You can have a look, courses and websites and things like that. So just check the description of the video. There's more details in there. But I have 36, nearly 37 courses. I've got another one, maybe I don't know how many hours, but at least 350 hours of content on there that I made separate to these lives. So if you want to support me or you want some more content, especially some more structured courses and classes, please do check them out. It does help support me as an artist, and also gets you some really great material that I spent a really long time creating. So I'm gonna go in now. Like, I've actually been talking for enough time that this paint has started to dry, especially in the buildings back here. And one of the things I love to do is to work a little bit damp as well. And that allows you to be able to get in some, I don't know, some very subtle, soft edges. I don't know, it just blends nicer if the paper's slightly damp. So guys, I will go through. Dorinda says, now that looks like a watercolorist palette. Yeah. It was getting out of hand and I didn't have anywhere to mix paint because I'd squeezed out bits of paint onto the actual mixing wells, and I'm like, what am I? Now I've done it. So I wouldn't recommend that. Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay's going to watch. We'll finish later, and yeah, post it up on the group as well. If anyone's watching along, new to this stream and the channel, we have a group on facebook.com/groups/watercolor mentor, and that allows you to put your paintings, get a bit of feedback. I drop in every now and then and give some feedback to my viewers. So do join, and yeah, you'll be able to get some feedback and just have a make a few friends there as well. It's really nice little, really nice little community. Righto, so there's one thing that we have missing from all this, and that is some really dark contrasts on the figures, not just on the figures, but in the buildings as well. So what I do at this stage is to simplify it down, neutral tint. I can mix up my own darks, and if you guys have your own um, other colors, other darks, and things like that, just use your primaries mixed together. Whatever darks you have, I just use neutral tint because it's easy for me. And here I'm just going to go ahead and bring out the most darkest parts of the scene. Okay, and for example, this like a bag sort of coming forwards. Might have a bit of detail here for the beanie this he's wearing up the top of that. Okay. What else do we have? We've got this bit of darkness on the bag for this person here. Kind of just the sling. You can't really see the bag, but there's also, in here, there's a bit of shadow and darkness in there. That. Okay. It's important to bring a bit of this darkness up the top down to the bottom areas so that we have some balance. Okay. This guy here also is a pretty dark sort of jacket. I'm going to go in and just really create as much as I can, as much contrast as I can, especially so that the lady next to him will come out a bit more. Okay? Not to worry, the legs aren't kind of as dark. That's okay. This will dry off fine, I think. What else can we do? Well, we want to create more contrast in these background areas. And I think, well, should I paint this guy in? Should I paint this person in the back there? I'm thinking difficult to decide sometimes with these things. Keep that light on him. Nah, I'm just gonna go over it. Sometimes the decisions that you fuss over don't really make a huge difference. What I was wondering is whether, look, if I leave this figure in the center that's kind of lighter, that's going to create a little contrast as well. Okay, but see, we've got darks, and this is kind of like a bag there, right? Which has connects like that. Really subtle, right? And then in the background, we have this figure here, which is just kind of standing in front of the shop, okay, with the beanie or whatever on. This person's got a little beanie as well there. Okay, but I thought I'd darken this one to leave the lighter figure in the center to create more. So it goes dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, bit of darkness into this one as well. That's the trick that helps create more contrast in here. Because then we've got this guy that's kind of in the sort of lighter, but then we've got the dark shape behind him, which creates more contrast. Get his arm in. These guys are talking about something, or they're arguing about something. What have we got here in the background? I mean, it's just not all that much. Soften off that background a bit. Put in some legs of the figure here, maybe in the background. Okay. It's another opportunity as well to just draw out more of the, if you've got feet and things like that you want to indicate more, that's something that you can do here. I wouldn't emphasize it all too much though, because we have these lovely shadows on the ground, and they connect on with the bodies of the figures very well. So if you're going to do it, just kind of dry brush it on, kind of like quickly, just let it be kind of thing. Okay. Look inside the buildings as well. It would be nice to have some little dark contrasts and things. So here mixed up way too much of this neutral tint. You get little, very, very light shadows in some areas of the building. It's kind of like this. See, just a little light shadow, almost like cuts across some areas there. Here, underneath there. A bit of light, a bit of darkness in there. There. Bit in here. That. This helps to bring out the these lighter regions as well. Maybe a little bit continuing on like that. Should I have some kind of like a bit of darkness here? So we can try. A bit of darkness here. Going around that figure there. Okay, it's a very subtle sort of shadow. I don't want to. One thing I don't want to do is just get rid of the light in here. So we have to be super careful where we are putting in any darks to preserve the light, because it's so easy to just go overboard and suddenly you've got complete darkness in this section and you're panicking. A little bit of shadow there. Presumably there'll be a bit of shadow underneath the roof as well, like that. I'll just put in a bit there. Yeah, it's just a bit much going on that rooftop. Just scratch out some of that. This line looks to be a bit too sharp, soften a bit. That. The edges here, just put in a bit of darkness there. Bit here. That. Good. I might leave this guy's beanie white. That looks pretty nice, actually. If not go over his other sides of him. And here we've got these kind of underparts of the buildings and things, which we need to figure out how much darkness we want in there. Soften a bit of this color in here. Just better. Underneath in here, we need to do something about that. Extra darkness. Yeah. Not in all of it. Some bits and pieces. Yeah. Because I want to preserve the light. I'll soften this off a little, like that. And some yellow or something here as well. Or yellow. Maybe a bit more yellow in some of these parts as well to bring back extra warmth. Okay, we've got a bit of this kind of wet and wet sort of work as well, action going on, so it helps to blend nicely. Okay, that. What else do we have? Some little miniature shadows here, little soft shadows running across that building. We might have a bit of shadow running down the side of this one as well. I'm just making this up, by the way. The shadow there, maybe cast from that right hand side or something like that. Bit under there, maybe a bit to the left of these shields underneath that section like that, and underneath here as well. That's too much. Lift off. Off. I like that sharp sort of shadow there, though. That's working well. Kind of like a indication of a building, a cast shadow from a building outside of the scene. There, we've got a bit of this section like that. There, there. Little soft shadows, and I'm using like it's like a very light mix of neutral tint and water. Very, very, very light. Especially in this background region, I don't want to go too dark. There. And I'm making an effort here to combine this shadow along with this shadow here as well. So get kind of a combination of these two shadows joining together here and this one to the left. Here's the option here as well to start putting in another bit of shadow running across the buildings. I think one's enough. Maybe I'll change it later. Who knows? So really, I mean, at this point, we're pretty much done. But what we're doing is just basically adding in some really dark colors and also creating some lighter shadows. So there's still some like mid-tones basically that you can add in here. Actually, even in here, you'll notice there's actually a shadow cast downwards. Can you see? Oh, like that. Underneath that building. A bit of shadow underneath here as well. So there's really takes time to notice these things, but after a while, you just start to observe the lighter shadows, the darker shadows, and then learn how to kind of join them on together. You know, I like these little bricks and things here. Actually, they have some texture to it because of the granulating paint that I was using before. This ledge has a bit more strength in it. Well, just a matter of lining, and this, you know, this part takes quite a long time, almost as long as the drawing itself. Okay, good. A bit up here as well, around that side of windows, subtle kind of shadows underneath. This guy here, need any more darkness on legs, because I forgot to draw the legs here. Right. Okay. I think I dare say we are pretty much done with this. I mean, the only thing I can think of is putting in a bit of gouache at the end. I'll dry it off and I'll just show you what I mean. Um, but you know, certainly, if you have any more questions, let me know. V saying the stream is going off and on. You guys, let me know if you're going okay with the stream. If you can hear me and you can see okay, especially on Facebook, because apparently some people are having troubles with the stream. In the meanwhile, I'm just going to give this a really quick dry. Oh, geez, I have not actually turned the microphone on. That's all right. I'll just quickly repeat what I was just going through some of the chats. So Lily Fuentes says, great with that, looks great with that contrast. And thank you, Lily, and Merry Christmas to you as well. You have a great time off and a relaxing holiday. And also there's a few more chats I'll just acknowledge over in YouTube too. V says I had to stop after I got people done so I can watch you painting. I'll paint mine tomorrow. No worries. I do go a little bit faster, obviously. I sort of once, especially once I finish the drawing, I really get cracking with the with the painting. S- Um, Soften a bit of that. Let's have a look. I think yes. Ellen says the sound is out and video is okay. Fantastic. V says I want to add that intense blue in the roof, for instance. I can't seem to get a color mix that will be bright and not too light. What would you recommend? The roof. Okay, that intense blue in the roof, seeming like kind of here and here. Yeah, it's actually it's kind of like a cerulean that I've used ultramarine blue. That's ultramarine mixed with a bit of whatever's left on the palette. It's kind of like some brown and stuff like that. But these bits here are a bit of lavender or cerulean blue. Okay, and you can use that really thick, and it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't detract from. It doesn't go too dark. That's what I'm trying to say. So, hope that helps. I, we're pretty much almost done. I mean, this is just finishing touches and things here. One thing I've noticed is perhaps the roof area here is kind of too sharp. So it's one of the things you can do. If you've got a bit of water, you can just drop in a bit of water and just lift off around some of the edges to create like slightly softer edges. Um, it seems a bit odd to do, especially at this point, but what it does is that it reveals the line but then softens up this area and it kind of looks almost like a bit of cloud or something. Even here you can do it in that sort of spot there. Some of you might want to create some clouds in the sky, like some softer and lighter clouds in the sky. That's another thing that you can do. So some softness is always good in areas. Some sharpness is also good in areas. You got to just got to combine them. You got to combine them both. Okay. I'm just doing it in that area, for instance. I don't really see too many other bits and pieces that I want to change or anything like that. So I can spend all day just doing this and continuing adding details, but I know that we have other things going on in life, and so uh, let me just show you one last thing. For those of you who are still hanging around, one last thing in terms of the using a bit of gouache, okay, because that's going to really help you out to draw out some final highlights, okay. Um, these are just some of the window frames and things I'm drawing on, and a bit of the just a bit of window. There's some of the window frames. Just because we've got all this detail out in the front, um, because essentially things in the front are going to appear more detailed than what's in the back. Everything's going to appear a little bit more blurrier in the back. So this is just a little technique that I use to help bring forwards certain bits and pieces. Okay, and it's subtle, but it works. It works. Okay. Notice there might be little bits that you might want to emphasize once things have dried. Fantastic. So I'm going to put in a little gouache. Got some white gouache here, and also, oh damn, I've dropped some of it on the painting, but that's okay. You can use some white gouache, or you also can use this sort of pen. This is a Uniball uni Posca pen, which is kind of like got oh yes, it's just all over the place at the moment. It creates a little bit of this white paint there that you can use to draw out highlights, but I do actually prefer to use gouache because it has a bit more of a looser feel to it, and I can tend to get also a higher contrast of white using the gouache. It's just like a really super white color, so that's why. So I can do something like, let's see, I'll put a bit of person's head, a bit on the bag or something there. Put a bit into the buildings. And even you see some frames and stuff like that, you can put in some on the frames. You know, a little bit here, a bit of a light bouncing off in areas. You kind of basically just finding some small highlights that you happy to draw out. I try to use a bit of dry brush as well so that it's not too obvious. Okay, and then we go drawing out some details, figures. This also, you know, it's also very easy to overdo it. So just also be mindful that it's a finishing technique and it's not something that you want to overdo. Okay, if you want to reshape that guy's hat or something, you can drop in a bit of color there. Okay, there, that. Tick. Right, I might call this one done. I'd like to thank you all for your time, and I hope that you really got something out of this. Hope you learned a lot from this. Thank you, V, for referring this reference picture to me as well. Certainly a little bit iffy when I started off thinking, geez, how am I going to, you know, because the buildings, I think I wasn't sure whether we could just invent them or what have you. But you know what? I think it's turned out pretty. I think it's turned out pretty well. It's come to its own um, thing. It's come to its own sort of look and feel, and I'm actually quite happy with it. I had lots of fun painting. How did you guys go? Do let me know if you're here, you're watching along, and it's your first time here. I'd really love to hear how you thought the session went as well. Was it helpful for you? Did you learn much? And and is there anything that you could suggest for all of you, or just generally, if you anything you could suggest the next time, if you think that I could have done something differently, or what did you like, and what did you think I could do a bit better? I would love to hear from you. Um, if you're comfortable with sharing. But I'd really like to thank you so much for joining, because I know this is takes a while to go through this, and it takes a lot of time to be able to sit here and listen to me talk, and to especially if you're new, to learn the techniques that we are um, going through for the first time for some of you, can be pretty tough. And but rest assured, like, it just takes time before you're able to get something in that you're satisfied with. It's just practice. And if you keep coming along to these things, you'll find that it's only a matter of time before things start to click. And initially, it will be like a mistake where you'll find, oh, you have like a couple that you're happy with, but you're not sure exactly how you did it. Um, but it takes time. So don't feel like you have to get everything in uh, that it's all just going to click for you all of a sudden. It takes a long time to get your head around some of this stuff. So um, some of it I don't even know exactly how to explain. Like what I'm doing now, I don't even know exactly what I'm doing, but I know I'm just putting in some bits of blues to maybe kind of balance out I don't know, the warmth in there. And I don't really know exactly what I'm doing, but it takes some time to figure out what works for you, your little style, and that kind of thing. And like I said, I do have Patreon, some courses as well. Watercolormentor.com/courses. I got free articles on my website as well, watercolormentor.com. So if you want to go through and have a look, I'm also trying to help out other artists who might want to like um, learn how to sell their work or learn how to yeah, just like turn their hobby into a part-time um, endeavor. So if if you have questions on that side of things as well, I'm happy to share what I know. There's so much information out there, and it can save you a bit of time. Happy to help. Let me have a look at the comments. I'm getting distracted. V's asking me. V's got a few questions and comments. V's got a few questions and comments. Lavender. Okay, yeah, it's definitely lavender. This is lavender or cerulean. A bit of gouache. And these are what a great painting you did, Darren. Love the warmth of the market under the cold night sky. I can feel it. Yeah, it's the contrast. It really makes a difference. And having some of these midtones come down into the ground as well. Because if we left this all kind of like really light, like for the reflections of the buildings, the warm reflections, it would look good, but it would just it would lack the balance of having some darks, and then the darks emphasize the lights. V's asking, am I still streaming live on Christmas Eve? I changed it to the 26th of December. So I'm planning to stream on the morning of the 26th. Yeah, because I'll be busy on Christmas. Got like family stuff on. But I maybe like I might do a stream tomorrow or even later today. Like if you guys want to if you guys are wanting to uh, see me do some sketches or just some exercises and stuff like that, and you think it's a good idea, I can always just turn the camera on and go through what I'm doing. I'm actually trying to learn, well, get better at my portraiture and stuff like that. I used to do a lot of portraits, but I've just really out of practice. And if I'm going to show you guys how to do it, I feel like I need to practice more. Um, V's got last question. I grabbed titanium white gouache M Graham. When I used it a few times, my painting was dry before I applied it. When I used it a few times, my painting was dry before I applied it, and the colors under the gouache bled right through. What did I do wrong? Hmm. Um, yeah, if the colors underneath, usually you got to wait for everything to dry before you put your gouache on. But what happens is that if you use gouache and you're using that gouache too thinly, if you're mixing too much water into the gouache, that water can then agitate the paint underneath. So I would suggest using less water with your gouache if you want it to go directly over the paint underneath without it agitating the paint underneath, without that paint underneath sort of bleeding through. So I hope that answers your question, V, because I think that's what's happening. Uh, Fantastic. A few more chats. A few more chats. Loretta Sampson checking in from Chile. Scaposi, Oregon. Thank you for joining, Loretta. This Carol Craig says. Carol says, "Love the night sky, beautifully done. Going to work on my painting. People skills, great tips. Thank you, Carol, and I'm glad you enjoyed and you found this useful. Thank you, Don, for joining as well. And Don says we'll post his in the morning after it dries and get a photo. Fantastic. It's good to have a bit of a break from your painting as well. Come back to it, look at it away from the reference photo, and assess it on its own uh, by itself. So Darren does yes, it was helpful. Getting inspired to dig out my paints. That's the way. If I can, that's what I love to hear. So give it a shot, Darren. And happy holidays to you too. I hope you have a great one. I'm planning to stream on the 26th, so if you guys are around on the 26th, please, please join. And I'm doing a scene that was recommended to me by Valerie from our group. So she's one of my patrons as well. And it's of the Taj Mahal. So something a bit different. I think it would be fun to do. I'm going to do that, planning to do it in pure watercolor. Um, and Merry Christmas to you, Loretta, and everyone all watching. I really hope you have a great holiday season. And it's been a rough year, I think, for a lot of us. It's just through lockdowns and just all kinds of unpredictabilities I think that's his life in general, but it's been more, I think, for the past few years than it has been for the previous ones. So I really hope that you find some time to wind down, relax, whether it's take some time off work or to visit your family and friends. um, really wish the best for you out there. Thank you so much for your support and being there for me as well, for my little channel on YouTube and Facebook, and yeah, just being so engaged and helpful as well. So thank you, everybody. V's asking, do I use the gouache right out of the bottle then? Yeah, I would say use it almost straight from the bottle, or put in a tiny bit of water, almost like 5 to 10% water in the gouache, because sometimes you need a bit of water to get it running, because it gets, if you're using it too thick, it's just sometimes if you're using it too thick, it sort of pops out of the paper a little bit. But that's also fine. I mean, actually, a lot of watercolorists I know, they use the gouache straight from the tube. So either do that, or just add a tiny bit of water just to get it flowing a little bit. That's my recommendation. That's my recommendation, B. Um, righto. Um, I'm going to end this stream now, but thank you again for joining me, and I will see you guys soon. Take it easy.